Andrew. Good morning, Andrew. And the previous join was Jackie. I think I marked Jackie. Yeah. Okay. 11, 12. Okay, I got everyone marked here. I'm going to get going. So again, today is kind of a catch-up day. So if you are doing well in rock, paper, scissors, and Replit, you do not need to hang out because I'm just going through stuff I've gone through before to catch the rest of the students up. Okay. I don't want to call any names out, but there's only one student has in this period who's done like 3 or more of the assignments in Replit. So if you are that student, you may go, or you can hang out if you want. So if you're on like a tablet or some place where you can actually do work, open up the HyperDoc as well. If you're just watching this on the phone, just pay attention as I go along. Let me I think Eva just joined. Okay, so in the HyperDoc, a little bit up from the bottom is this PSRock week number 1, and it's got a big highlight on it. Rock, paper, scissors, final project start here, right? So if you don't even have a Replit account yet, you definitely need to start here. Okay, so there's videos there where I will walk through stuff. Kind of the short version is come down to the Replit invite that's highlighted, and then click on the period 2 link, and that's going to jump you to that day in classroom with this crazy big agenda. I don't know why the agenda is so big in this one. There are the slides. Go open up the slides. Come back to classroom and go open up that link as well for Replit. Okay, so those are the 2 things you need to really get started. In the slides, you can skip over the objectives. Part 1, setting up. It says what you need to do in Replit to create your account. Okay, so on the link for Replit, right, you're going to use the Google login. You don't need to create your own account. You're going to use your school DCP account to log in. Okay, so you're going to get logged into Replit. So if you're on a computing device, please go do that right now. I can't show it to you here because, you know, I could show it to you on Microsoft Edge. Copy this link, copy link address. Let me open up another web browser. I can't open up another web browser. Oh, I hate this tool sometimes. Because I'm recording, I can't get to my menu bar. Okay, on Replit, you're going to see, create an account or like log in with Google, log in with somebody else. Click on the G to log in with Google. Use your school account so you don't have to create a new password. Once you have done that, you are going to see something that kind of looks like this, right? If I log in as Fred, you're going to see this window that kind of has this whirlpool eyeball and create a REPL. Okay, 3 horizontal bars, menu bar on the upper left. If that's not open, go ahead and click it to open. Click on students. Okay, so Replit is not primarily set up for teaching classes. It's primarily set up for allowing people to code online. So on the normal page you get to when you log in, it's not going to show you the classroom. So yeah, you have to click on students to get into the classes you're enrolled in. Probably only one, probably just this class. Go ahead and click on that class. Okay, so this is kind of how you should start in Replit all the time. Once you get into the classroom, there's an assignment section and a project section. Hopefully both of them start open. Okay, you're normally going to work in your project section. Okay, so come on down, open up PSRock period 2. And it's going to look a little different from your assignment section. So when you're following along with the slides in classroom and trying to add in an algorithm, add in a detection and the move to beat it, you want it to look like this. For you guys, sorry, I have my theme set to dark. think the default is light. For you guys, it probably looks like this. Okay, I think a dark background is easier on my eyes, so I switch it to dark. Okay, on the left, click on the little page symbol, and that will open up the file manager. You probably don't have 20 things here, you just have the .py files. All of these PYC files are created when you run. Go ahead and click run, right? You haven't done anything, just go ahead and click run. It's gonna run this file called main.py, and then on the right, this is where things get run, kind of like in Code High School. It's gonna ask if you wanna begin a tournament, and for you guys, there should only be 5 teams. Okay, once you add your own team, it's going to show up here, and that's how you're going to know that it works, and you're going to say, yes, go ahead and run the tournament, right, just so that you know everything here is working okay. Okay, you're going to go through the day 1 slides. At the end, or towards the end of the day 1 slides, it says you're going to create your own team file, right? So go ahead and come up to the next to files is like a page with a plus sign and a folder with a plus sign. Click the page with a plus sign, add a file, and you're going to create your team. So who's the first person on my list? Bryce is the first person on my list, right? So if I was Bryce, I would type in team Bryce, and then it's a Python file. Every Python file to be run has to end in .py, okay? So, right, if you're Jasmine, you're going to make a team Jasmine.py. If you're Jackie, you're going to make a team Jackie. Bryce is going to make a team Bryce.py, right? Just go ahead and hit enter, and it will open it up in this area. Okay, this is where you're going to develop your team, your model, your algorithms for winning at rock, paper, scissors. Okay, in day 1, I'm going to tell you what's a good way of starting off. If, for example, I said a good way of starting off is to open up the team1.py file and select everything and copy it, right? You could do that. You'd open up team1.py, just double click it, that opens it, select it all. You could do Control-C, you could right click and say copy. And then you're going to come back to your file, which is Team Bryce in this case, as my example, and paste it in. Okay, now if this is what my day 1 stuff says to use as your starting point, at this point you could just go ahead and run it. And if you click run, at the right, it's going to run the tournament, and it says, oh yeah, there's a Team Bryce team now, and it doesn't have any complaints about it, so he's going to include it. We'll say yes to run the tournament, and now down in the win, lose, tie percentages, we have information for your team, right? In this case, Team Bryce. So whenever you want to update your code, you now have a Team Paris folder, a Team Tristan, a Team Paris file, a Team Cindy file, a Team Tristan file, right? This is where you're going to update your code. In the code, there's a couple of important things. The first thing is, by God, change your strategy name to something you want it to say. You don't actually have to tell anyone else what your strategy is. It needs to be school appropriate because it's going to be shown on all of our screens and I'm going to see it. But it could be, you could fib to people. You could try to tell them something wrong. So I might say, I was actually editing the file, right? I'm going to say, I always throw rock. Right? Doesn't mean I have to do it. You should have a function called beat move or something similar. And all that function is going to do is you give it a move that you think the other person is going to play, and it's going to return the move that will beat it. And the reason we want a function is we don't want to have all of these lines inside of every if block we have down here, right? So instead of once we have their prediction, instead of having 6 lines of code for what to do with it, we're just going to call this one function that says, I think they're going to do this. Tell me what I should play. Okay, so you're going to have a beat move function. It's easy to grab from team 1. That is fine. You can copy that code you can copy any code from team 1 through team 5 you like. You guys don't have a team 6 or a team 7. We'll get to them later on. Okay, so you're going to have a function called beat move that your move function is going to use. Your move function, this is what the tournament calls. So it says, I have these 5 teams or 6 teams or 20 teams. I'm going to pair up team Bryce.move with team Edme.move and let them throw 20 turns each. Then I'm going to take team Bryce and pair him up with team Jasmine and let them do 20 throws each. Right? Then I'm going to take team Bryce and do it with Cindy, and it's going to go through every combination there is, give you each a chance to go head to head and tally up this winning percentage for everyone. Okay, so it's your team, it's your move function, and in Python, the way we know something is a function is it's defined. So we have this def move line, and we're given all of our previous moves as a string, all of their previous moves as a string when we play. Right now, the first round, there's no previous moves, so those strings are empty. Right, it's just a pair of quotes with nothing in it. Edelman is here, right? So that's why we have this check to see if, right? So we're going to do a lot of checks on what their previous moves are. If the length of their history, if that string has less than 2 characters in it, less than 2 moves in it, we don't have much history to base it on. So almost everyone just does something static. They do the first move or 2 the same all the time. Okay, as you play, you might want to check out what people are doing. If a lot of people are throwing rock for their first 2 moves, you might want to throw paper. Or, you know, if a lot of people have figured out others are throwing rock, so I'm going to throw paper, you might want to throw scissors. Right? It's a way of getting a couple of moves quick. And then we can start looking at their history and seeing what's going on. So this is the stuff I explain in class, right? So when I explain how to detect repeat 2 and how to beat it, this is where you're going to add it into this def move block. Okay, it needs to be, sorry, so you're going to have a whole bunch of ifs at the very end of your def move block. You're going to need to return something. And I'm going to get rid of this random because I killed random, so there's no point in ever trying to use random because it doesn't do anything random. Okay, at the end of your code, in case none of your detects did anything, so in case there's more than 2 moves and they're not throwing the same move over and over, you still need to give it a move, right? So the very last line of your def move should be return something. And do you want to return rock, paper, or scissors? You pick. Okay, I'm going to pick rock just because it doesn't matter. I'm going to throw this code out in a second. Okay, so here's all your big ideas, right? Here's all the things that I think I can catch them doing and how I'm going to beat it. And if none of my good ideas work out, I'm going to return something. Okay, and then you want to make sure whenever you do a change, you want to make sure your code runs. Right, so just run it again. If your team shows up here without a message after it, your code is working fine. Go ahead and run the tournament, and you will see how your percentage is. If you have an error, let me put in an error. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Let me do that. Okay, right? So here it's giving me an error. It's saying in Team Bryce on line 22, return R, I have a return outside the function. So a lot of the times it will give you a good error message and you'll be able to figure it, right? And so, oh, returns outside of a function, yeah. Return is only, return means go back to the code that called me. So return is awesome if you're in a function that makes sense, okay? These things are all indented, so they're all part of this def move function. Anything that's not indented is not part of the def move function, and it's not going to get run as part of your algorithm. So I can do a print hello down there. It's perfectly valid code, right? And when it loaded up Team Fred, it's, why am I in Team Fred? When it loaded up Team Bryce, it said hello, okay? But that's not going to impact the tournament at all. And now the tournament runs fine. Sometimes, let me do something else. Let me change this to -3. I don't know if I have 3 moves yet, right? If if this, okay, this is a repeat from day 3 or 4. If it returns here, it's not going to do any code that's below it, okay? Because return goes back to the code that called it. So if I get down to line 19, that means that my history is not less than 2. So I have at least 2 moves. So the old code was running fine because while I was looking back 2 moves, I knew I had at least 2 moves. If I change that 2 to be a 3, I don't know if I have 3 moves. So if I run this, I should get an error. Okay, it didn't complain yet. As it runs, it complains, right? So it's not a, it wasn't like this return being in the wrong spot, which was wrong all the time. This line 19 has a bug only if we have less than 2 moves, which it doesn't know yet. Okay, so in this case, it's going to give us an error and it's going to tell us index out of range. And index out of range just means that you're trying to grab something on that string that isn't there. You're trying to grab a third character and there may not be a third character yet. So those error messages matter. As I go through the classwork, I try to point out what things we need to do. So if I wanted to look back 4 moves, I would have to do something like if len of their history, right, of the string with all their moves, and their history and my history are the same length, so I can check either one. So if this is greater than 3, I could go back and look 4 moves. And then I could say, and what do I want to check? I want to check if their history -1 is their history -3. And so if their last move matches, so we have 4 moves, I want to check if their last move matches their third to last move, and then their second to last move matches their fourth to last move. Their history -2 is equal to their history -4. Okay, I'm going to leave my bug there. I didn't put a colon. I need to always have a colon when I end a if line. I'm going to return beat move, their history -2. And I want to see what it says for that bug. Syntax error, invalid syntax, and it's pointing to the right square bracket after their history 4. Now it's not telling me I'm missing a colon, it's just telling me I have something wrong on this line of code. Okay, so you need to kind of remember if you're doing ifs and loops, when you're done defining the if for the loop, you need to include a colon. If you want to type across multiple lines, you need to include these backslashes that say, you know, this thought, this condition carries on to the next line. We run that code without the backslash, we should get an error. So here I'm getting an error, invalid syntax after the and, right? It's the same kind of error. I have an if line that I didn't end with a colon, should have a colon here, but oh, no, it's not really a colon because I'm not done. That should have a backslash, sorry, a slash that goes from the upper left to the lower right, which is the one above the enter key, not the one with the question mark. Let me put it there, okay. Hopefully that will run now. Let's see, I click run, it didn't complain. I say yes. Ooh, and their team Bryce, he went up. He used to be in 3rd place and now he's in 2nd place, okay. So this is where you work on your code. Once you have something working, like, oh yeah, this is the code for beat repeat 1. There's an assignment for beat repeat 1. Let me go do that. Okay, so you don't, this is like Google, you don't have to explicitly save, it automatically saves for you. If you want to go work on the assignment, you do want to select everything. Okay, copy it. And then you come back to the student area. And I'm sorry, this is takes 2 or 3 steps to get into. From project to the assignment, it takes a couple of steps. From assignment back to project, it's faster. So you want to go work, right? I want to go check out the PSRock day 1 beat repeat 1 code. I'm going to click on that. Fred has already submitted it, so I'm going to go ahead and unsubmit it. unsubmit and edit. You guys won't have to do that. I come in here. Sometimes I put some starter code here. If there's starter code there, select it, get rid of it all, paste in your code from your team file. So here's the assignment editor. It looks different, right? It doesn't have those 3 different sections. It's got an upper section here for the code, a lower section on the left for running, and then it's got this big pane on the right with the instructions. Okay, and my instructions almost always say, you know, if you followed along with the class, you know how to beat repeat 1, go paste your code in here. Okay, so go work on it in the project area, paste it in here when you think it's done. And then then either you can do next to run, you can click the menu to get run tests and run it that way. And sometimes the first time it takes 10 seconds. And it will tell you if it passed all tests or if you failed something. Okay, I'm going to come back and break it so that we can see how to fail. If it passed everything, go click submit. It will tell you you passed all tests, and then you can submit it. So you need to do that. Right? For me to say, yes, you got this done, you need to click the submit button. This is the page you want to take a snapshot of to paste into the weekly assignment. I want to show you what you see if this is wrong, though. So this is the code to detect repeat 1, right? So if their last move, their history minus 1, is equal to their second to last move, their history minus 2, then they're probably going to throw their same move again, right? This is the right thing to do. I'm going to break it. I'm going to repeat my same move, right? This shouldn't work for at least 1 test, probably 3 or 4 tests. I'm going to run those tests. Okay, assignment test failed, and I get a red X for everything that failed. Okay, I don't know what's going on. If I click on one, it will give me more details, right? So they played R, 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 R. You should predict they play R again and beat it. And it will actually tell you what you gave, right? If you come down to the last line, there's this self-assert equals, right? And so this is how your code was called, right? So there's my history, there's their history, right? So their history is R, 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 and it expects your code to return a P, right? And so that's what this assert equals. If I call your function with these inputs, I expect your function to give me a P back. And now it's saying you didn't do that. You gave me an S instead of a P. That's because I gave beat move, I want to beat paper, and so it came back with the scissors. Okay, so if you click in once for a failed test, it will give you a standard message telling you, what this test is doing. If you click more info a second time, it will actually show you what you returned versus what it expected, if that helps you. Okay, and then all you need to do is go fix your code. Okay, run the tests again, and now they pass. So you would close, you would click submit to run it that way, and click submit to get it to be in Replit to mark it as you completed the assignment. You made a change here. You want to make sure you get this change back into your project. So what I do is I just select everything, copy it again, go back to Classroom. So here it's faster. You can go back to the Classroom from an assignment, scroll down back into your project. Takes just a few seconds to load up again. Go open up your team file again, select everything, and paste in if you did an update. If you didn't do an update, you don't need to do that, right? But if you fix something in the assignment, make sure you go get the fix back here. So this is how you work, okay? So if you go look at day 1 now, hopefully it makes more sense, right? Hopefully at this point you guys have your team file set up. Go open up day 1. You know how to, in day 1 slides and video, it will tell you at the end, here's everything that I explained, here's how to go get that starting code easy. It will explain that to you. So you can go do that, copy and paste that code, put it into your team file, and then go do the day 1 beat repeat 1 assignment. Okay, that's all I got for today, right? I'm trying to just, for those of you who aren't in Replit screaming ahead, please go do that now. You have half an hour, you can get this done. You still have time to go watch the day one, to go understand how beat repeat one works, to go grab that starting code, get it into your team file, run it here, make sure it works, and then go copy and paste it into the assignment area and get credit for that. Okay, and if you pass everything there, do that screenshot, grab that little window that it passed, dump it into the Google Doc for PSRock day one, and turn it in so I can give you a grade for it. Okay, I am done for today. That was it. On Wednesday, this is Wednesday. Monday's a holiday, so you guys will be here on Tuesday again. And Tuesday, I'm going to show you guys another algorithm. Okay, but go take the next 30 minutes and go do something productive in Replit to catch up on your final project here. See you Tuesday. Have a great long weekend. I hope you guys are all doing well.